So, hello there, alien hunters. I hope that you guys are doing great. So, my own son said that my last couple of videos were a little bit too long and that they got boring. So, today I'm going to speed things up a little bit. I'm going to try to make class a little shorter and a little more punchy, full of just really good information in a short time. So, this is probably going to be less than a half hour. But then I've added a couple of extra videos in the discussion or the description area of this video that you can watch if you want to spend more time learning a bit about aliens and space. So before I forget, I have some alien and space giveaways for you. I had these ready when we were still meeting live. I really miss meeting with you guys live and being able to talk about your ideas of aliens and seeing you drawing and coloring aliens, but I do have some things to give away. So if you're interested in some little space and alien giveaways, have your parents text me or email me your name and address. Try to do it within a week by Monday, April 20th, and I will mail you out a small package. If you forget, it's, okay, take a few days or a week. I'm not going to send packages out until sometime next week, but just try to have your parents text me your name and address before I mail out packages, and I will send you just a tiny little alien care package, just a little type of fun stuff that I often hand out in class. So we're going to start out today by taking a virtual trip to outer space. Have you ever wanted to travel to outer space? There are people who have done it. Obviously, there's astronauts who have been in space, but there's people who have had the opportunity to take vacations in space. But first, I want to talk about not the reality of space travel, but what could be a very interesting type of space travel. NASA, a couple of years ago, NASA created 14 travel posters for different planets in our galaxy and outside of our galaxy. And I think they're kind of fun, and I wanted to share them with you guys today. So there's not a lot of words here talking, so I'm going to read it to you. And it says, wanna get away, like really get away? Now you can dream of cosmic vacations, thanks to the creativity of scientists and engineers at NASA. This project is part of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratories. This was like about 4 years ago now. NASA designed a number of posters depicting planets beyond our solar system. They were introduced by the Exoplanet Travel Bureau. There's a total of 14 now, which show areas like Mars, Jupiter, and more. Okay, here we go. Earth. It says there's no place like home. Warm, wet. Oh, sorry, I didn't read it fast enough. Let's pause each time. Here we go. Earth, your oasis in space, where the air is free and breathing is easy. There's no place like home. Warm, wet, and with an atmosphere that is just right. Earth is the only place that we know of that has life. Trying to move this recorder out of the way. See that? And lots of it. Next we have Venus. See you at the Cloud 9 Observatory. See, they're pretending that Venus has been turned into a real tourist attraction. It says the rare science opportunity of planetary transits has long inspired bold voyages to exotic vantage points. Journeys such as Star Trek to the South Pacific to watch Venus and Mercury cross the face of the sun. That's one example of a book that somebody wrote that took place on Venus. And if we really turned Venus into a space vacation, that's what you might do. Observe all of the clouds. Ceres. Ceres is the closest dwarf planet to the Sun. It is the largest object in the main asteroid belt that is between Mars and Jupiter. It is not all that big. It has an equatorial diameter of about 1,000 kilometers. That's only about 600 miles. That means like straight across or all the way around its equator is only 600 miles. So it's small. but it could be an interesting place. Here it says Ceres, Queen of the Asteroid Belt, your last chance to stop for water until Jupiter. So if you were traveling out in space, say you were somehow hiking through space, maybe you'd stop and pick up some water before you headed to Jupiter. Here we go, Jupiter. Jupiter's auroras are hundreds of times more powerful than the ones that you can see in the northern parts of Earth, and they form a glowing ring around each pole. This ring is bigger than our entire planet of Earth. So they're showing hot air balloons traveling up to see the beautiful aurora, and it says experience the mighty auroras of Jupiter. Now, I've seen the aurora borealis in Alaska. The aurora are these bright colors in the sky that happen at night in the wintertime up in northern areas like northern Michigan and Alaska and other northern areas. They are beautiful. They're moving constantly, and it looks like somebody's painting the sky with watercolors. If Jupiter indeed has beautiful auroras, I would travel there to see them. And number 5, Enceladus. It says, visit beautiful southern Enceladus with its icy jets that helped create Saturn's rings. Look at that. You might be actually watching like explosions of ice come out of a volcano. They're not sure. They're making some guesses here, but it's beautiful to think about. And here we have Titan. It says, oops, sorry, hold on. I went one too far. Hold on here. Titan. Ride the tides of this frigid alien planet. It says, similar to our own in some ways, it's Saturn's largest moon. It has a thick atmosphere and lakes of liquid ethane and methane. Amazing. And look at how beautiful would it be to look up and see the Saturn rise over the water. Incredible, right? Europa. Discover life under the sea beneath this icy moon. Oh, yeah, let's go back. Let's not speed through Europa. Europa is such a cool possible place. They think that there could be a huge saltwater ocean. You guys know this under Europa, but look at how they're showing a city underneath the water there. That's a diver up here, and this is a city that's made to look very organic, almost like an octopus's arms. I mean, it's possible that something like that actually exists there, or that humans could build it someday. Amazing thing to think about. This says 51 Pegasi b. While there's much debate over which exoplanet discovery is considered the first, one stands out. In 1995, scientists discovered this planet, 55 Pegasi b, forever changing the way we see the universe and our place in it, because it's an exoplanet. It's very far out from our solar system. So if you travel to this, it's the first one that you would hit when leaving our solar system. HD 40307G, twice as big in volume as the Earth. This one is sometimes called a super Earth. Scientists aren't sure if it has a rocky surface yet, or if there's something else buried beneath the gas and the ice. But because it's so huge, it would have a very different gravity from Earth. It would have a much stronger gravity. Kepler 16b. This says, relax on Kepler 16b. Like Luke Skywalker's planet Tatooine in Star Wars, Kepler 16b orbits a pair of stars. And this means that your shadow, you would have two shadows. So this says the land of the two suns, where your shadow always has company. Wouldn't that be weird to actually have two shadows? I mean, we're so used to just, once in a while you see two if you're by some artificial light. Kepler 186f. the first Earth-sized planet discovered in the potentially habitable zone around another star where liquid water could exist on the planet's surface. And look at our poster. It's got it all red. It says where the grass is always redder on the other side. Wow. PSOJ 318.5-22. Isn't that an awesome name? Not. This one was found about 8 years ago. And it says it belongs to a special class of planets called rogue or free-floating planets, wandering alone in the galaxy. These planets do not orbit a parent star. How crazy is this? And they're advertising it as a place where the nightlife never ends. Because there would be no sun, right? If it's not orbiting a sun, if it's just wandering around, it would always be dark there. Which also means it would always be cold. Which also means we probably could not live there because it would be icy and freezing. But interesting to think about. And then we've got Voyager. This is not a planet. This is something a little different. It says NASA's Voyager mission took advantage of a once every 175-year alignment of the outer planets for a grand tour of the solar system. Voyager was a twin spacecraft that taught us details about Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, using each planet's gravity to send the ship on to the next. So this is saying you could use Voyager to take the grand tour of the galaxy. We're going to be talking about Voyager, I think it's next week. It's really, really interesting. And there's some stuff on there that I think might surprise you guys. So hang in there for next week. I think you're really going to like next week's class and learning about Voyager and the Golden Record. And last we have Mars. Missions like Mars Pathfinder, Mars Exploration Rover, Mars Science Lab, and Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter have all provided valuable information and helped us understand this planet, and many people think it is the first planet that we will ever get to and actually set foot on. And this says visit the historic sites of Mars, because there's going to be a lot to see. There's going to be, on Mars, there's a lot of debris from different ships and things that we have sent up there. So there's already places to visit and things to do if you go to Mars. It's pretty cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little virtual tour. Maybe sometime in our lifetime we will actually get to see some of those places. But did you know, like I said before, you can really go to space for a price. First of all, you can go to not so outer space and you can learn what it's like to be weightless. Have you guys ever heard of the Vomit Comet? Let's watch.
I'm Corey Johnson. Right now, this is one of the most enjoyable moments of my life. Wow. But it wasn't always that way. Just a few minutes ago, I looked like this.
He looks scared.
I'm down in Cape Canaveral on my way to experience zero gravity with a company called Natch Zero G. I'm exactly the wrong person to be doing a zero G flight. Zero G has recently partnered up with Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic for passengers who've already purchased tickets on one of his suborbital flights to get acclimated to the experience of weightlessness. Zero G is also offering the experience to anyone else who will pony up to $5,000 for the privilege. Here's how it works. The plane climbs to 24,000 feet, in our case over the Gulf of Mexico, and goes into a series of parabolic arcs. The aircraft climbs at an extreme angle, 45 degrees. It feels like 1.8 Gs, nearly pinning passengers to the floor. And then at 34,000 feet, it begins to dive at an equally extreme angle for half a minute. At that moment, passengers experience weightlessness. And then they do it again, and again, and again, and well, there's a reason this plane is known as the Vomit Comet.
Actually, less than 4% of our participants get sick. It's very rare.
Therese Brewster is one of our zero-G guides, and I'm going to need some numerical hand-holding here.
Now that suborbital is becoming more of a reality, these companies are starting to talk about training, and they're bringing their customers on board to experience microgravity. So it's really a wide-open market being created now with commercial space.
That brings us to where we all started.
This is crazy. Not sickening at all.
experience comes at a price. A Virgin Galactic ticket costs $250 grand for about 6 minutes of weightlessness. That's $694 for each second. But Zero G is charging $5 grand a head for 7.5 minutes of weightlessness. That's only $11 a second. Weightlessness on the cheap. But Zero G has its eyes on more than space tourists and thrill seekers. There's some big money looming from NASA, and several companies are vying for a lucrative contract from the increasingly outsourced space agency.
The government space race is over. The private corporation, capitalist space race is on. It's all going to be private companies now.
And liftoff. Right now, NASA is paying the Russians about $70 million each time a U.S. astronaut hitches a ride to the International Space Station. Private space maker Export says it'll charge $90,000 for suborbital flights, but only has room for one passenger at a time. And Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos is still in the testing phase for his company, Blue Origin. He hopes to take 3 astronauts in their new Shepard capsule. The odds of that working? Well, before I could figure that out, we're back on the ground. So paying $5,000 might seem like a lot of coin, but think of the extra perks. You get to keep the flight suit. And then there's this set of Twitter pictures that make you the envy of your friends. Can you really put a price on that? One small step for me, one giant leap for Bloomberg Television.
So there you go. This is an actual thing that people can pay money for. You can go experience weightlessness. But what do you think of that? You get to experience it in little 30-minute chunks. You have to fly up like you saw and be pinned to the ground and feel pressure like it's holding you down, and then all of a sudden you float around for 30 seconds. Then you get pinned to the ground again and you float around for 30 seconds, and you do that 5 times. Is it worth it? Is it cool? Or are you like, heck no, I'm staying on the ground? I wish we were in class together so we could talk about that, because I would love to hear you guys' opinions. But feel free to email me over your thoughts, and I will read them and put them in next week's class, because I'd like to hear what you guys are thinking. So, okay, that is not the only way, though. He mentioned in that video that some people are paying $250,000 to actually get up into space. Well, check this one out. Here's a woman who's an adventurer, and she paid $20 million to go into space. Let's watch.
If you had $20 million, would you risk it all for a ride to space? She did. Anousheh Ansari is the first female explorer to head into space on her own dime. In 2006, Ansari spent 8 days at the International Space Station, circling the globe at speeds over 17,000 miles per hour. How has going to space changed you?
I felt a sense of freedom that I have never felt in my life. It fundamentally changes the way you view yourself in relationship with your environment, and little things disappears. It's sort of, you don't worry about little things anymore.
She's describing what astronauts and space insiders call the overview effect. The concept that seeing Earth from space can transform how we think about humanity and our planet.
When I came back from my trip to space station, I could never look at problems the same way. Seeing it with your own eyes sort of puts things in perspective, makes it real for you.
How is space tourism and the development of the technologies that will support it going to change humanity?
It helps develop technologies around a business model that will eventually reduce the cost of access to space. And that's the ultimate goal of industry that has been built in the past decade. There may be a disaster where, our planet will become inhabitable. And if that happens, we need to have something that will help us survive, at least a portion of our species, to survive somewhere else in this universe.
So she's talking now about a couple of interesting things. She talked about how we are privatizing space, and that means that corporations are starting to create rocket ships. That never happened before. Back in the past, it was always governments. NASA was funded by the government. The Russian government sent people to space. The Chinese government sends people to space. This is a very new thing with private companies coming together and getting the funding to send people into space. But in a way, that's kind of creepy to think that just any old person could create a company that could fly up into space. But in a way, it's also it opens it up. It gets more people dreaming and thinking and working together, and it will get us to space faster. It will get people into space faster. The woman that went up there was also talking about how once she was up at the space station and she saw what it was like to see the world from above like that, that made her feel smaller. Like all of her problems felt smaller. But when they show her inside of that space station, I didn't feel like it made everything look big and insignificant. I think she said that she felt freer in a way than she ever had before. But look at that space station and how little and cramped it is. Do you think you could live in there for 8 days? I think I'd be having panic attacks or just kind of flipping out. So that's something else. If you guys want to send me your thoughts on that, how would you feel about being in a small spaceship up in space, locked in for 8 days? Is that something that interests you? Yeah, kind of crazy. Okay, so let's see. Let's move on now. So some people think that space vacation travel is not that far away, and I guess we're just going to have to see. But for now, let's go back to a little bit for thinking about our search for other species in space. So far, we've talked a lot about what to look for when we're hunting for aliens. We look for a planet in the habitable zone, water, things like that. But I found this cool article that overviews a few other strange things that we can look for when we're searching for intelligent life. So I wanted to read through that article with you. So this is an article in Popular Science, which is a very well-known magazine. And they showed this picture, which is showing clouds of smog above the Earth. And they say one thing is where there's smoke, there's fire. Big telescopes can scan for oxygen and methane in the atmosphere of other worlds to hunt for tiny microorganisms. But to find more intelligent aliens, we could look for their smog. Some scientists have suggested that if advanced civilizations are out there, their planets are probably wrapped in a cloud of air pollution, not unlike ours, right? So scientists are looking for chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, like the ones that are emitted when you spray an aerosol can or from the refrigerant inside of your air conditioner and your refrigerator. These are ozone-depleting CFCs that could be in a planet's atmosphere for up to 50,000 years. So even if there was some advanced civilization that got very technological and industrial like we did, and they've since died out, we could still find the remnants of their civilization by finding the pollution in their atmosphere. Isn't that really interesting? So another way would be, it says beacons in the night. While SETI is listening for alien radio transmissions, other scientists think we can use our eyes in the sky to look for the light and heat that might radiate from alien cities. Modern telescopes could spot a city the size of Tokyo if it were located on the outer reaches of some solar system. Of course, other star systems much further away, we would have to create way bigger, more powerful telescopes to see their light, but it is a possibility. So simply looking for their cities. You've all, I'm sure, seen that poster where you can see the whole Earth lit up at night. Have you guys seen that? Let me, Earth lit up at night. Let's see, I want to make sure you guys have all seen this. I've seen it before. It's pretty amazing. Here we go. These are pictures of the Earth lit up at night. So this is from above, like look at, okay, this map right here. You can see a lot of the Earth is dark, but these bright spots are our cities. Like look at the United States there up here. You can see that all along this East Coast is really, really lit up. But in the middle of the country, where the cities aren't so dense, it is not as lit up. If you want, you might ask your parents if it's okay to do a little. Here's an even better one. This one really shows you, like here's Africa, and look at how not lit up it is. And even South America, a lot in the middle, but look at the United States, how lit up it is. So imagine if you're an alien searching for a planet, you might see this and think, well, there must be creatures living there. Look at how lit up that is. So pretty cool. Okay, so let's go to another one. This says, look at that, a black hole. Isn't that awesome? It says a black hole sun. An advanced civilization would eat up a lot of energy to maintain itself. One scientist proposed that really advanced alien species, like just super, like ones that could even travel through space and time through wormholes and black holes, could potentially build artificial black holes that help them harness the energy of the sun. Yeah, basically grabbing all of that sun's energy, turning the sun into a black hole, and then using that to power itself. So they're saying that if we can find evidence that a sun used to exist and it turned into a black hole, that there could be a super advanced alien civilization there. But if there was a civilization advanced enough to do that, they could have found us already if they wanted to. And a similar idea is this one. This is showing a sun with something built around it. And the idea here is something called a Dyson Sphere. And I'm going to give you guys another video about this in the future as one of your videos, if your optional videos if you want to watch it. But the idea of a Dyson Sphere was created about 50 years ago. And it's the idea that if you could surround a sun in solar panels, you could completely harness all of the power from that sun. And if somebody did that, that's something we would probably be able to detect from pretty far away with the telescopes and technology that we have now. So it then says, aliens among us. Here on Earth, there may be creatures that are based on biology that are so different from our own that we don't even recognize them as living organisms. For example, one scientist has suggested that desert varnish, this red rusty stuff that grows on rocks, may be one such alien. Desert varnish looks like a microbial mat, like a group of microbes that have collected together, and it appears to produce organic molecules, but scientists can't tell whether it's alive or not. So some low-level aliens could be living right under our noses, and we just don't recognize them as real life. This says, wait for extraterrestrial intelligence. WETI. It's a joke on SETI, right? So the idea here is we could just employ a wait-and-see strategy. Instead of worrying about being out there in space searching, let's just wait and see if something shows up. If there's something out there that is more advanced than us, it could find us. And if that happens, it might come visit us. Now, I know you guys do not think that we should employ WETI, right? You totally think that we should be out there searching. Let me know your thoughts. Send me an email and I will read them and put them in class for next week. So, okay, we are just about done here for today. Oh, no, we're not. I'm sorry, we're not done. I have a few other things I want to do. We want to talk about, we're done with videos. I want to talk about what aliens might look like, and I wanted to do that by showing a couple of pictures that you guys sent in. So let's go over these. Brett sent us this awesome picture of, it says, the craters are tinted windows, here's the backyard. So this is what an alien house would look like. She's thinking, a house on another planet. Look at it, she's got a control room, a rec room, a kid's bedroom, the parents' bedroom, a kitchen, a dining room, and a bathroom. In this like interesting round circle, and then here's the backyard. So cool, that is an awesome drawing, Brett. I like your control room. Are these lights hanging from the ceiling, I'm guessing? And the dining room, is this a ladder up to the next room? Interesting. This is really cool looking. I love how there are bookcases in both of the bedrooms. You guys must do a lot of reading. That is awesome. Very nice. Thank you, Brett. And then I have another... Brett drew us another picture. An alien. She drew it on that planet I was talking about that was it had very different parts. It had a spot that was really cold all the time, a spot that was really hot all the time. And then she created a creature that hatches out of an egg. Look at it, it's got gills so it can live in the water, but it's got a fireproof plate on the front. That is awesome. That totally makes sense, doesn't it? If you're thinking about creatures, a creature that lived on a planet that was part water and part heat and fire would absolutely be able to breathe water and be able to protect itself from fire. Look at webbed feet. Love it. This is a really cool one, Brett. When you write again, tell me if you have a name for this guy, because he's pretty darn cool. Well, it looks like there's two different ones. Very cool. Love it. And I think I had one more picture that you guys sent me, and this one comes from Max. Max created a shark creature that could live in the water and also swim, or and also fly up in the sky. He's got wings, and he's got legs that can swim. So he's got the ability to do both. Pretty awesome. I love it. That one is just great. Very cool one, Max. Thank you, Brett and Max, for those. Love them. So now I wanted to look at some aliens that some other people drew and see what you guys think of these. Could an alien like this exist? This was a movie out about 20 years ago called Coneheads. It said that these creatures existed that looked just like us, except that their heads were these giant pointy cones. Why? Why would an alien, I mean, could this exist in real life? Why would an alien have a pointy cone head? Maybe it had a big brain to fit in there, but why be pointy? Why not just be a big bulbous brain? Maybe they use it as a transmitter. Maybe they have the ability to have telekinesis with each other to transmit their thoughts. And just like an antenna, that pointy head helps them do it. I don't know. Pretty interesting. In the movie, this family lives on Earth without anybody knowing they're aliens. How could that happen? Give me a break. But it's interesting. And let's see. My pictures aren't coming up like I hoped. Here we go. E.T. You guys have all seen the movie E.T., right? Okay. If any of you have not seen E.T., you have to watch this movie. This is the quintessential 80s movie. It is just a perfect little adorable movie about an alien that is with he and his scientific team come down to Earth. They are looking around and collecting samples to try to understand the planet better. And people show up and the ship has to take off quickly and one alien gets left behind. And he's trying to make his way home and he meets a little boy who helps him find his way home. But during it, we learn that E.T. has a lot of interesting powers. And if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it for you. But you can see here that his finger is lighting up. I'll just tell you that he can do some interesting things with that finger. He has a lot of other interesting powers. But if you've seen the movie, think about it. And if you haven't seen it, please watch it with your family. It's a great movie. And imagine, do you think this creature would really be like this? I'll just give you a couple of things. He's not very nimble. Like, he waddles. He's got very short legs. He's not very good at moving around, except that just maybe he can fly. So interesting to think about. Could this creature really exist? Watch the movie. Okay, and let's see here. This is an alien from Star Trek, which I love Star Trek. Anybody know what this is? This is a Klingon from Star Trek The Next Generation. Klingons are basically like humans, but they're very violent. They're real big about, like, their favorite saying is, "Today is a good day to die." Because they're basically super brave, but they're also willing to fight anybody for anything. And that makes kind of sense, right? That they have this big plate on their head that's hard bone. Because if you're a fighter, especially before you've achieved technology, when you're in the Stone Age, if you like to fight a lot, having a big protective plate on your head would make a lot of sense. So if we discovered an alien that looks like this, we might look at its head and know that it had a violent past because it was designed that way. Isn't that interesting to think about? Let's look at a couple other famous aliens. We have here, this is a movie that it was a TV show, a mini-series back about 25 years ago that I loved called V. And V stands for visitors. And these guys that you see, they all showed up on Earth, hundreds of them, and they said, "We come in peace." But they didn't really come in peace. And they weren't really human. They looked human, but in the upper right corner you can see that she's ripping off her face to reveal that underneath she is a lizard creature. A lizard that walks on two legs. And that's why they're wearing sunglasses, because some lizards, their eyes, because of the way that they're made to be out at night, they're very sensitive to the light. So all of these aliens had to wear sunglasses all the time, and they also had very strange voices that had this echoey sound to them. So interesting to think about. I mean, is it possible that reptiles could become the dominant species and learn to think and build things and walk on two legs like this? Very interesting idea. If you guys like alien shows and you're thinking about watching something kind of different, look for the movie V. Or the TV, I'm sorry, it was a mini series. V, and if you type in V Visitors, you'll get it. It's really cool. I'm going to make my son, watch this soon. Okay, and I have just a couple of more here. Let me pull these up. Here we go. Who recognizes this? I'll bet a lot of you do. This is a xenomorph from the movie Aliens and all of the subsequent Aliens movies. This is the alien queen. This creature supposedly is intelligent, and yet it doesn't seem to have a lot of technology, and it doesn't have the ability to build spacecrafts and move around. Instead, it's more of a parasite. It hooks on to other things and then destroys them. It has acid for blood. It has a super powerful tail that can knock you over, sharp teeth. It's a pretty crazy alien. Is it possible that there's really things like this out in space? Possible. Probably not real likely, because we don't even have anything like this on Earth. So why would it have evolved somewhere else? But I'd love to hear you guys' ideas on this. If you have any thoughts, type them and send them over to me. Okay, let's see. I think I have two more. What is this? Superwoman, Supergirl, and Superman. So, superheroes, right? If you ever watched a superhero show, almost every superhero is supposed to be an alien. They come from somewhere else. Do you think that's really possible? If we went to another planet, could we be superheroes? Maybe if that planet had a different gravity. But that would be about it. These guys, they can fly. They have heat and cold vision. They have all kinds of crazy things. Could that be possible? Yeah. I don't know, maybe I should hold a live Zoom class so that we can talk about these creatures, because I'd love to hear you guys' opinions. Let me know if you email me, is that something you want? Would you like me, instead of recording these videos, do you want me to hold a live class where we're all on at the same time talking? If most of you want that, I'll do it. I just thought that this way might be easier, but if you like that, let me know and I will do it. So there we go, superheroes, and one last one. What is this? Many people call it a gray. This is a description of what a lot of people who say they have been abducted by aliens, this is how they describe the alien that they saw. Long arms. Sometimes they say they're short, sometimes they say they're really tall, but always long arms and a really big head and really big eyes. And we've talked about this alien before because it looks a lot like those little troll dolls that I gave you, except it's taller, right? And we said that the eyes imply that it lives in the dark a lot. So that's interesting. What about the big head? What might that imply? Maybe that it has a really large brain? Or maybe that its brain can do things our brains can't do? But what else is interesting is when people describe these aliens, they never describe them as wearing clothes. They always act like they're naked. Can you imagine a race of beings that is so advanced that they can create spaceships and go across the galaxy, but they don't wear clothes? Is that where evolution would get us, to the fact that we were not warm or cold? I mean, we weren't cold. We didn't need clothes because we weren't cold, and we didn't need them because we weren't modest. That seems kind of odd to me. Usually, you think that when the more intelligent a being gets, the more modest it becomes about covering parts of its body. So that seems strange. But the long arms make sense, and the long fingers, because you can manipulate things, you can build things better. So interesting to think about, could this creature really exist? So yeah, that was my last creature that I wanted to talk about. So there we go. That is it for today. So do you have something to share about class? Do you have any thoughts, ideas, maybe a cool picture of an alien or an alien city or an alien spacecraft? Brett, Max, anybody, draw me an alien spaceship. Show me what you think they might look like and send it to me. Or you can post your thoughts and your pictures in a file that I've created. Zoe and Brett have already posted in there a little bit. My son Sebastian tried posting in there and he had a little bit of trouble. because he's a perfectionist and he kept accidentally deleting his work when he was trying to edit it. So I know it can be a little strange to post into that kind of file if you're not used to it, so you can just text or email me your comments. I'm going to put all of this information right into the email that I sent out to your parents. Next week we're going to talk about communicating with aliens. Did you know that scientists sent aliens a map for how to find the Earth? Do you think that was a good idea? We're going to talk about that next week. So if you haven't finished reading that the Alien Hunter's Handbook that I gave you guys, read it. Read it all. It's really good. And be prepared next week, not for WETI. We are not waiting for extraterrestrial intelligence. We are talking about how to find extraterrestrial intelligence. And I want to know what you guys think. So send me your pictures, send me what you're thinking, and have a fantastic day.